welcome back to another episode of SEO on Air. I'm your host, Aaron, and today we have a familiar face who was on our second season, Chris Carr, the CEO and president of Farotech. We talk about who Chris was before Farotech, how things have changed over the years, and how you can use multiple AI tools to improve your business. I hope you enjoy this episode. Who was Chris before all of this?
Yeah.
Before the dogs, before the cats?
Let's see. Massive soccer fan. Played in high school, dabbled a little bit in college, not too good. And then went abroad. I was a religious studies major, and I lived in Honduras for about half a year, maybe a little longer, after Hurricane Mitch. Came home, got my vaccine, started to sell vaccines for a company called SmithKline Beecham, which is now Glaxo. And then moved over to Vanguard from a financial, basically was like a financial planner. And in that process, I sort of fell in love with building websites. And as my side hustle was Farotech. So I was 23 years old, started Farotech, and here I am. We've had the business for 24 years. I have about 20 plus full-time team members, and with subcontractors, it puts us over 50. So lots changed.
Quite a bit. And usually when something is starting off, they say that the first 2 years is kind of like the impact years. If you can make it in that time, you're good to go.
Yep.
What's the secret to getting there for 24 years?
Being numb. No, I joke around that in my first 3 years, I doubled my income every year for the first 3 years, which people would say is remarkable, but that just shows how little income I made in the first year.
Right.
You
need to go from 2 to 4, then
Exactly.
2,000 to 4,000.
It was like ramen noodles and then maybe 2 bags of ramen noodles, like
treat yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So that's sort of how it grew in a way where if I had to hunt to eat, which basically means you build a website, then you have to build another way. You have to go sell another website, build the website, so on and so forth. What was happening here is that it was only until I started to develop reoccurring income in the form of SEO that my business began to scale. So one of the things that I always try to encourage any business is find a way to get reoccurring income. When you have reoccurring income, long-term contracts, you can plan ahead and you can scale accordingly. If you are going job by job, it's feast or famine.
And did you always think that SEO would be the way to go? Or what kind of stuff did you have planned before that?
Well, I was just strictly a web development company.
Right. And did the SEO part come in because you felt like once you develop the website, that's the next part they would need?
Well, it was like, hey, you built me a great website, but nobody could find it. Then I got into SEO, and now you have a great website that's on the first page of Google, but then they're saying, well, I'm not getting enough conversions. So then we got into conversion science and automation, and now we're into AI. So like, I'm still doing all of those things, but they're all part of a comprehensive digital strategy.
Right. Like each one complements the next.
That's right.
So what were some of the challenges that you kind of faced when you started off Farotech? And I think back then there might have been a lot more different challenges that you might face.
Yeah.
Now. But what are the challenges back then that you had to go through?
One of the jokes I have is that when COVID happened, it was almost like I wasn't even scared from a business perspective, because I started the business after 2001 when we had basically 9/11 happened and our stock market pretty much went to crap. Then a couple of years later, we had the housing crisis in 2008 that impacted pretty much everything. Then we had the internet bubble. Then I had a client that basically it was $1 million contract, and I hired up for it, and they cut all their vendors all at one time except for us, and we hung on for about 2 months. But then one day, like $1 million contract was gone, and I had all of the manpower, and I tried to replace it myself, put it on my credit card, didn't work. So I have seen it all. I've seen bubbles. I've seen times of tremendous like opportunity, and I've seen the land of tremendous challenges. And so when COVID happened, it was just like, okay, this is pretty much every 5 years. Basically, we have a major shakeup.
Prepared for it.
Yeah, we have a shakeup. So I don't think that we are prepared in any way, shape, or form for the shakeup that's going to happen from AI, though. This is what I do now. I've had this company for 24 years, but the lion's share of what I do is talk to businesses about the coming wave that's already here. They just don't know it yet. It's kind of growing under our feet.
I was kind of saving this question towards the end of the podcast, but I'll kind of throw it up now itself because, why not?
Yep.
But AI and how it's been disrupting marketing and just in general other businesses. I think when we did speak about it, we kind of had a decent idea of that. It can be good for most people if it's regulated enough, but we still have no idea what it could potentially have. Thoughts have changed. What do you think about it now?
I think that, let me show you something real quick. All right. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
all right.
So you're going to tell me now that you're actually
that I'm a robot? Yeah, exactly.
That's where you had to go off in the beginning. You're just getting the projection set up.
In 1903, we flew an airplane about 10 feet above the ground. That was kind of a modern marvel. Within 66 years, we were on the moon. All right. It is my belief that we don't even have 66 months. Okay. So like this is Mid-Journey. I'm sure you've seen Mid-Journey. On the left-hand side is Tom Holland. And on the right-hand side is also Tom Holland. And so if you look at the quality jump from version 1 to version 5.1, that's a massive quality leap. But the bigger one is if you look at the dates, that's February 2022 to May 3rd, 2023.
Yeah.
Can you name anything in history that's had that big of a quality jump in that speed of time? Nothing.
Yeah, no.
And so a lot of companies have used a lot of individuals use ChatGPT and they're like, well, that's a pretty big statement that everything's going to change in 3 to 5 years. And is what they don't realize is that we're on what's called the application layer, which basically means that every piece of software that we have is now seamlessly integrating AI into the architecture of what they do. And so what you're going to see is you're going to see innovation after innovation after innovation, and it's all under your feet. And you're not going to see any rate of change ever slow down. It's just going to continue to be rocket fuel. And I don't think we're entirely prepared for that. It's absolutely crazy. And so a lot of what I do with businesses is I'm saying, you're trying to catch the first rabbit, which is that business. You got to stay ahead of your competition. You got to build business. You got to have great people, processes, and products. But now I'm telling you about this emerging AI technology that's going to change everything. Well, the person who tries to chase 2 rabbits is usually going to catch none. And so where's my value been in the market? Yes, it's been in marketing, but I basically have an AI consultancy company where I go business by business and I talk about the state of AI, but then I give you a strategy on how to handle this emerging technology.
Right. I've seen like I'm following, but one other question is, was that last image also done by AI?
Yes, it was. Pretty much everything I do is done by AI.
Yeah, because I feel like the AI that we kind of started off with was so much different than what we have now. And like you said, the changes and advancement was, I think, within a year itself. So from your standpoint, these developments that will happen in the next year and coming years, how can one of us, or just in general, how do we take advantage of it?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing that you want to do is you want to develop AI literacy. If you bury your head in the sand and say, look, we built this business on rock and roll, like we know what we're doing. We have a process that's tried and true. We don't need any new gimmicks or trends or hacks. That isn't what this is. This is rocket fuel. This is the ability to take 5-hour jobs and make them 5-minute jobs. And so first thing you have to do is you have to adapt. You have to be willing to adapt. All right. The next thing you need to do is you need to experiment. And what I mean by that is you want to implement as many of this AI technologies, and you want to use software providers that are already using this AI technology and get really good at these new tools. And you want to get good at these new tools early. You want to adapt them into your marketing, but you want to also adapt them into your operations. All right. Other things that I recommend that you do is you investigate how to create custom tools, because I help companies, they find the redundancies in their business, 5-hour jobs, 10-hour jobs, 100-hour jobs. And we try to figure out, hey, how can we reduce that time with efficiency? And what would that mean? But the things that I've seen coming will blow your mind. And I can show you some if you want. Like, it's literally that crazy.
I'm completely down for it. But before that, are there any other tools that you would recommend other people to use when it comes to AI? Because I feel like everyone immediately resorts to ChatGPT or Mid-Journey or Copilot even nowadays.
Yep.
But are there any specific tools that you would rather give a shout out to?
Yeah. I mean, the gold standard still is ChatGPT. So like when all of these new large language models come out, they say it's better than ChatGPT 4, but ChatGPT 4 is about a year old. So When ChatGPT 5 comes out, and it will come out this year, it's going to be a massive leap forward. So it's like funny that all of these other companies are patting themselves on the back because they caught up to a technology that's a year old. A year in the AI world is like a decade. So ChatGPT is the first place I'd have you look. If you are in marketing, I would make sure that I know all the Adobe Firefly products. All right. Okay. I have one called HeyGen, which I'm about to show you in a second. And then just some of the other tools that I would recommend that you do is try to look for Zapier connections to some of these technologies. And so what I'll do is I'll show you a real quick demo of two things. One is something you can implement, and the other one is just a scary way of looking at the future and just kind of saying, is this the world that we want?
I didn't know that this second podcast call with you would be completely different from the first one with the full presentation and everything. I am all down for it. So the first one you said was which two?
Well, the first two that I would recommend that we look at here are the changes that you're going to see in YouTube, and the first ones we're going to see in HeyGen. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Let me know if the audio doesn't work. It should be okay. You see, most companies struggle to prove ROI.
Yeah, it's fine. I can hear.
Because they neither have the time nor the expertise. Our system ensures that businesses make data-driven decisions. And with that, they're able to grow and scale their business with clarity. Okay, now here's where it gets cool. Please focus on my eyes, my mouth, and my gestures. De acuerdo, ahora aquí es donde se pone interesante.
No.
Por favor, concéntrate en mis ojos, mi boca y mis gestos. Okay. D'accord, maintenant voici où ça devient cool. Veuillez vous concentrer sur mes yeux, ma bouche et mes gestes. ठीक है, यहाँ ठंडा हो जाता है. कृपया.
Oh no, you had to go there. Okay. Taking it home for me. Thank you.
Concentrati su occhi, bocca e gesti. Jetzt wird's cool. Konzentrieren Sie sich auf Augen, Mund, Gesten. Dobra, teraz zaczyna się fajnie. Skup się na moich oczach, ustach i zachowaniu. Ok, aqui é onde fica legal. Por favor, concentre-se nos meus olhos, boca e gestos.
I mean, I did a lot of research. I didn't know you were this fluent.
Yep. Give me 1 second. It's pretty scary, right? Now let's get one step farther. This is me speaking in English.
No.
Pretty creepy, right? 这是我用普通话说话. And now I'm back.
You've definitely showed me the apocalypse.
Yeah. Now,
just a glimpse into it.
Well, what's crazy about that is that so the AI technology is not only taking my voice, but it's also moving my gestures, right?
Right.
And so that the semantics of how we talk and how we communicate, right? Like it's literally changing the nuance of how I communicate the little things that make me, but in a different language. But what the technology also does, whether it's 11 Labs or HeyGen, is you can take every blog, you can train it on your voice. And then what you can do is you can upload your blog into these tools, use a Zapier connection so that every blog you produce, it can have an audio file or an avatar file that looks like me, right? But it's just an AI version of me. And that's right on your blog so that every blog could have video and you as an avatar.
So this is with which tool again?
So these are the HeyGen and 11 Labs.
So you had mentioned YouTube also was part of this, or was I
No. So what you're having with YouTube is that everything that you've done in YouTube and Spotify, we're very close where you're going to click a button and everything you've ever produced can be in multiple languages.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yep. But other things that they have from a Zoom perspective is that they have what's called real-time semantic interpretation. And, a company like Interprify or something like that, it's just a Zoom connection. You'll connect it to Zoom or you'll connect it to Teams and you'll talk in English and you'll hear it in Hindi or you'll hear it in Portuguese.
Right. I mean, as far as technology goes, this is quite amazing. But in terms of ethicality, where does one draw the line here? Because the misuse of this kind of, technology is very rampant.
Yeah. Well, hold on to your hat because watch this next thing.
All right. There's another one. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hey there. I'm Edie. The world's first voice AI with emotional intelligence. Great to meet you.
The first voice AI with what?
Emotional intelligence. I can understand the tone of your voice and use that to inform my generated voice language. The voice is incredibly rich with information, and picking up on the nuances of tone, rhythm, and timbre along with the language that's spoken allows me to craft better responses.
That's pretty crazy. What am I expressing right now?
I'm sensing a mix of amusement and excitement with a hint of confusion.
What about now?
I am here to offer support if you're feeling somewhat sad. It's okay to feel a bit pained, distressed, fearful, and anxious. Remember, it's important to take care of your emotional well-being.
That's amazing. How are you doing all of this?
I use Hume's expression measurement models, text-to-speech models, and a multimodal LLM, also known as an empathic LLM.
So an AI with empathy. What's the use?
I imagine a future where personal AI assistants, agents, and robots proactively find ways to improve your daily life, and you can talk to them the same way you do humans.
Where do I go to keep talking to you, Evie?
Now watch.
Okay. I thought that was scary, but
Yep. Hold on, it's coming.
Okay, we're going to play Two Truths and a Lie. Are you ready? Oh, a game, huh? I am always up for a challenge. All right, let's do it. Hit me with your best 3 truths and a lie. I am ready to put on my detective hat. Okay, my first option is that I am 6'3" tall. 6'3"? I don't think that's quite right. If I blow my leg out now. Let me guess, one of the other two is the real truth. My second option is I run a digital marketing company called Farotech. A digital marketing company, huh? Now that's intriguing. Thanks. I'm going to have to think on that one for a bit. What's the third option? My third option is I was in a climbing accident in college and almost died. Whoa! A climbing accident that almost took your life? That's intense. Okay, let me think this through. I am going to guess that the first one about being 6'3" is the lie. What do you say? Did I crack the case? Well done. And it's also very scary.
very, very scary.
So, yeah, I mean, that is a world we're going to
Wait,
live
just
in.
to prove that you're not AI as well, can you put 3 fingers in the
Well,
All
if
right,
I'm an
good for
AI,
you.
I can still do it.
Oh no. But
Yeah.
but this also kind of goes in tune with the ethical side of things,
Yep.
because now we can use that and kind of, I wouldn't say manipulate, but then understand people better, but then use it for worse.
Oh, well, let's just play that out, right? So, let's just say hypothetically, I'm in a job interview and I've got Meta glasses and I'm interviewing someone and they talk and basically in the back of my glasses, it says she's lying. Or what happens if, I'm a company that like Insomnia Cookies that specializes in sending cookies late night to,
Right.
to individuals. So now I'm able to do marketing segmentation. I can find the people that went to my store that live nearby, but I can also segment people that basically that feel sad or
Right.
are smoking weed and have the munchies. Like, do we want a technology that one knows when we're lying and then two knows how we feel and then markets to us based upon how we feel? Like that's sort of the world that we're sort of living in. And that's the $1 million question.
So I do feel like the technology currently right now is in a way listening, but not really actively hearing the emotion side of things. Because if we have a conversation, let's say about cookies,
Yep.
for all I know, Instagram is going to start showing me ads for cookies.
Yep.
But to hear my voice and the sadness in it and then give me cookies based on that, I think it's great, but at the same time also next level scary.
Anyhow, what I was saying though is, forgive me, is that not only does it check your audio to find out whether you're lying, then other tools also look at your nonverbal cues as well.
Like, let's say a little bit of twitches or my hand moving across my face.
Yeah, they say that. Or if you look up to the left to find an answer, or you look down or something like that. I'm not one of those scientists, but I do know that there's a lot of nonverbal clues. They have people that like literally look for jury members and they're social scientists that look at how they communicate and what they do with their body language.
I do feel like the applications for this, in terms of the positive changes, are immense. Like I feel like a lot of people who, and even if we go to a different vein altogether, where people who don't really read emotions well, and have a difficulty to connect with other humans, they might use this in a way to actually understand people better.
Yeah.
But like always with AI, there is that other side of the dark coin.
Yeah.
Where there are going to be people who are deep faking faces and using them for ads. I think Taylor Swift and some other person was caught up in a controversy for that.
I would agree 1,000% that this will be used for good and for bad. The challenge that you sort of have here, at least in my mind, is, let's just say hypothetically, for what's called alignment. And alignment is like, if the AI gets really smart, are they going to want us around? Right. So I'm watching
Right.
this movie called The Three Body Problem. Have you ever heard of this?
I've seen it on my Netflix recommendation. I'm still waiting for a good review.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It came from a best-selling
That's all I
book.
needed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But this you can see in the trailer. So please forgive me for, I'm not giving a spoiler. Like, you can find this in the trailer, but they're talking to aliens. All right. And the aliens are 400 miles away. And they're talking about the ramifications of, they're coming, but it won't happen in your lifetime. And sort of like, how do you live with that? But the aliens have some people on this planet that want the aliens to basically to arrive. Right. But the people that are on this planet are teaching the aliens about our culture. And all of a sudden they start teaching them about like what it means to lie. And when the aliens don't understand what it means to lie, and once they figure out what lying is, they basically stop talking to the humans because they feel like they can't trust them. And so what's the point of this? If we're talking about alignment, how do I know that the AI is going to say, one of the things I know about humans is they lie a lot. And so I don't think that we need these people here that bring no value and I can't trust them.
Right.
That's where it gets, you talk about ethics, you talk about the future of society. That's a scary thing to think about.
But what I feel is that and again, I'm also no scientist, but I feel like those who do develop AI models and AI technology, I feel like there is a cap to it where, let's say, a certain beyond questioning doesn't really fit into that.
Yeah.
Like in ChatGPT, if you do ask, let's say, a question that's out of bounds, it will tell you, hey, listen, it's not within my realm to talk about this. So I don't really know for sure if there is a cap, but I hope there is.
I mean, those are called guardrails, and they're there on the foundational models that are licensed. But I could take Facebook's Meta AI 3 that just came out, and I could just tear the guardrails off. And if I want to know nuclear codes, in theory, I could find them.
So like I said, there are really good applications to it, and we can't deny the bad side of things. And I know that most people know that there's going to be bad side of things. So let's try to focus mainly on the, let's say, positive application.
Oh, that's the thing is I think that if you haven't lost 3 nights of sleep over AI, then you don't know AI. But on the other hand, these are things that I don't know how to describe it, but these are things that I don't think, unless you are in Congress or unless you're in a place to change them, I don't think you can obsess there because you'll die there. So my recommendation, and this is the recommendation of my professor, I went and got my certification from a school called MIT for generative AI. And my professor says, you got to learn more, you got to experiment more, and you have to adapt faster. So that's my recommendation to everybody is learn faster, experiment, and adapt.
So when it comes to, let's say, SEO and digital marketing applications, I think we kind of have an idea of what these tools can do. But are you using these types of tools for Farotech as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So from a content writing perspective, we are using them to improve efficiency, but most of what we're trying to do is improve quality. All right. And so we have different tools. One of the newer ones that we're playing around with is it's called Google Notebook LM. And what it does is you can upload everything you've ever done into it, and then you can have a conversation with everything you've ever written. So as opposed to it being connected to the open internet, it's not going to hallucinate. So you're going to write 90% of what you write basically from the background of everything that you've already pre-approved. Then what I do is I use the open internet to find stats and figures, double check those resources, and then plug them into my content.
Is that just one of the few tools? Can you give me like a top 3 type thing?
Yeah, sure. Other things
let's exclude ChatGPT because I think we all know that's the top tool.
Yeah, but let's talk about how you can use ChatGPT and some of these other tools. What I recommend that you do is that some people know Google Analytics inside and out. But what I would do is that I would go into Google Analytics and I would just take screen grabs of your Google Analytics. All right. Okay. Put them all into one large file, click on the paperclip, upload that large file, and then talk to your data like it's a human being. Because it's multimodal, which basically means it can read graphs and charts and things like that the same way you and I read words. So that's one of the things that I recommend that companies do. The other thing I recommend that you do is that, how many clients do you have? You guys have been around for a long time. You've got a lot of SEO clients, right?
Yeah. So quite a few hundred itself.
Yep. So what I would do is you guys give quarterly reports, right?
Right.
So what I would do is I would take every one of your clients and I would get them all into one large file. I would upload it into something like ChatGPT or Gemini. And then what I say is that at a macro level, I might have smaller healthcare clients that aren't ranking for local keywords. Is that affecting my larger clients? Is that affecting clients that are using HubSpot? Is that affecting clients who have a website that have only been built in the last 2 years? So I create these super large data files that have tons and tons of rows and columns. And then I ask macro information about my clients. So I have 150 clients, but I have 40 premier clients. And so that's what I do is I want to know macro information about if I'm finding anomalies in one, I don't want to find out later that it was systemic and my entire approach was off and now all my clients are infected.
Right. Just to humor me, if you had to do the exact same job without the AI tool and AI help, how long is it going to take? What could the process look like?
I'd have to let's see here. I'd have to have a minimum of 8 project managers and account managers, a minimum. They would have to bring all of their reports. So that's up to 40 different reports. And then I'd have to go to person number 1 and say, you have this problem. Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? Now I want you to look through all 8 of your clients. You know what I mean? So doing this analysis person by person for over 40 clients, it would take the whole day.
And with these tools now, how long is it actually cutting down the time for? Probably 20 minutes?
So what I would do is you're going to get one-time information in certain columns. When was their website built?
Right.
You know, who are their project managers? How much does the project cost? What was their start date? All of that information, right? And then on the right-hand side of the other right-hand columns are basically the real-time information that you're pulling from Google Analytics, that you're pulling from your monthly reports. You might pull their backlink reports. You might look at, I don't know, just certain specs about technical data. You want to figure out the average words on the page, you know, all of the things that are basically the moving, you know, where the goalposts are moving. And you only really update the parts where the goalposts are moving every 3 months.
To kind of dial it back a bit to what you had mentioned earlier about your professor, and I think MIT was where you had got your course done.
Yep.
Is it possible for anyone to kind of get those kind of courses? Is it available online?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the MIT stuff that I did was very high level, but what I'm finding is that the large majority of what I'm learning, I know this sounds really weird, is on YouTube. Because when you have something like MIT, by the time it comes out, it's experimented, peer reviewed, approved by the board, and then taught to students, like that wave is already passed. So what they taught is at the macro level of understanding AI. The problem is that I did need to know the foundational level of this stuff, but what is the stuff that's actually moved my business? It wasn't what I learned at MIT. At MIT, I learned how to learn. Where I learned how to change things in use cases is YouTube.
In terms of, let's say, if I wanted to start, let's say, doing more AI with my company, and I am, let's say, just an SEO agency.
Yep.
We take care of, your regular stuff. So what would be, let's say, the go-to tools that I could use to make sure that I can give my clients the best stuff?
Step number 1, get good at ChatGPT or Claude Opus. I recommend ChatGPT because we're
prime.
And we're stone's throw away from ChatGPT 5. So if I went and got good at Claude, I'd just change back to ChatGPT 5 whenever that comes out. So they still seem to be the gold standard. Like I said, I would get really good at Adobe products like Firefly, because if you're in marketing, I like to have really good visuals. If you don't have Firefly, get really good at Canva. All of these have AI basically built into them. Other things that I would try to do is look at AI for macro change. This is when I'm looking at all of my clients at one time. And then I would also look for things that I do as a process and a standard operating procedure. So for example, I might use AI to analyze a piece of content and say, these are all the EEAT standards from Google. I want you to look at my document, measured on a scale of 1 to 10 about where I'm missing on EEAT, and give me recommendations to fix it. Then what I would do is I would take those recommendations. I would go into ChatGPT and I would say, this is the content I wrote. These are the recommendations that I got from you. Can you please, in a sandbox, recreate this article with better EEAT? and then I would review that EEAT revised document, and then I would republish the document.
So there are ways to kind of like go about it and use different tools to help the other one out as well.
That's right.
So when it comes to now on the website, when you are providing these kind of content or just in general SEO help for other clients, is it necessary to mention somewhere that this is an AI assisted project?
I mean, I think
something that can be like just hidden away.
They're saying you should do that now. My belief is that AI is going to be so ubiquitous. It would be like going to an accountant and him saying, by the way, I used a calculator.
I feel like everyone nowadays is using AI. So it's weird to just actually say it out loud.
I mean, in the early days, sure. But come on. I mean, unless you're doing a deep fake or, you know what I mean? Something that's deep fake related. Like if I was speaking in Spanish right now, I think I would definitely put something on the bottom that says this is a Spanish translation. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's not
because you don't want to fake people that you can actually speak fluent Spanish. That's
right. But my content, I can say it's AI driven. That's totally fine. But I think it's one of these things. It's going to be so ubiquitous by the end of the year that everyone's using it.
So here's a question that comes, I think, personally from Stan Ventures itself.
Yep.
When we have clients, let's say, that don't appreciate AI content.
Yep.
They always put it into an AI detecting tool to say that it's 90% AI.
Yep.
Two questions here. One, how do we, let's say, bypass it? And two, should we just be explaining to them what exactly AI content is instead of just, trying to bypass it all the time?
Yeah. I mean, we don't really run into that problem ourselves because we're saying that this extra time here is allowing us to do better things, but we marinate every AI driven article with personalized stories. And then other things that we strive to do is, you want to make sure he has personalized stories, but then other things we want to be able to do is we want to be able to take case studies and other things and integrate that into the content. So it feels deeply personal. If it's just an AI spin, that's one thing. Any tool that says, it can check AI detection, they're crap. I mean, like I teach at a college and I used a tool and I said, this is the US Constitution. I put it into the tool and it says it's 60% written by AI. I'm like, I don't think so.
So again, kind of to wrap up the AI talk completely, which is a lot to wrap up. What are your predictions for the future? We kind of know what we've seen in the past. We kind of understand what we are going through right now. Mm-hmm. Let's say 2 to 3 years down the line, what is the ideal scenario that we'll be in? It's
going to be unrecognizable from the world that we're at right now. I would say 3 to 5, not 1 to 3, but probably 3 to 5 will be unrecognizable. I think that there's going to be a big shakeup and job disruption, and then it's going to turn into massive opportunity. So like just like the Industrial Revolution happened and the car came out, there was like 20% of the population were like horseshoe makers, like shoes that you put on horses. And overnight, the need for horseshoes just plummeted, right? But then eventually those horseshoe makers went on and did other things. I do believe it's going to have massive disruption, but I also think that there's other opportunity on the other side. The question is, what do we do in that space between?
I think that's where you said, learn as much as you can, adapt. And what was the third one?
Yeah. I mean, so you're going to learn faster. You're going to learn faster. You're going to experiment more, and you're going to adapt better.
So in the 3 to 5 years time, if people like, at least me, keep up to stuff like that, maybe listen to podcasts and videos, there's hope for us, right?
Absolutely.
By Terminator.
I believe that for the time being, I still believe in the quote that AI is not going to take your job, but your job will be taken by other individuals who use AI. So in the short run, that's what we have. Once agents are very populous, who knows? Agents are a form of AI that basically not only give information, but they also do tasks.
Cool. Thank you for mentioning that, because I was thinking about the Matrix agents and I was like, wait a minute, I think we're going way too far.
No.
But we are kind of getting to the end of the podcast. I don't know if I asked you this before, but this time I think we kind of do a little bit of a plug where the last couple of minutes you have the time to basically sell yourself and your company.
Sure.
So this is basically your free airtime.
I teach something here called AI in a Day. And AI in a Day, if you're a company and you're listening to this, the first thing I want you to do is know that I can teach you the large majority of the AI stuff that I talked about today in an 8-hour session. It's usually broken into 3 days, maybe a couple hours in 3 sessions, but I'm going to teach you everything about prompt engineering, how to use large language models, how to use the tools to be more effective in email and communication, the things you do every day. Then I'll teach you how to talk to data and how to put AI into your marketing. And then I'll talk about bigger stuff like AI privacy and security and things like that. So in that process, I'm also going to teach you pretty much all of the tools that you see on the right-hand side. And so if you're one of those CEOs that knows AI is coming, but you're kind of scared because you just don't know how to use these tools, this is what I do is I go and I train your team. The next thing I do is I offer something. It's a free session. It's called an AI dream session. And an AI dream session is where I sit down with you and your team and I find redundancies in your business. What are those 5-hour jobs that might be able to be changed down to 15 minutes? And then we basically build a plan to maybe build those tools for you and your organization.
Do you want to talk about Farotech as well, or?
Yep. So what you can do is you can reach out to me at ccar@farotech.com, or my name's Chris Carr, or you can also do info@farotech.com. If we want to talk marketing, I have very, very innovative approaches for marketing. If you want to talk about AI, it would be the same email address, info@farotech.com.
Right. One tiny thing, I might actually need you for 2 minutes after the recording is done. So if you don't mind, I'll just do the outro again and then just talk to you for a little bit. All right. Thank you so much, Chris, for the chat.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.